The Confederation Council chamber fell silent as Ambassador Kreeth of the Vorlan Empire delivered what he believed would be the final statement of the war. His triple-jointed appendages gestured triumphantly across the holographic display, showing Earth's smoldering cities and shattered orbital defenses. "The human resistance has collapsed," Kreeth announced, his translator rendering his clicks and whistles into cold mechanical words. "Their fleet is destroyed. Their colonies are occupied. Their homeworld burns. By all military doctrine across 17 star systems, humanity has been defeated." The assembled representatives from 43 species nodded in agreement. War was a science, after all. When defensive capabilities fell below 12% operational capacity, surrender was inevitable. The humans had reached 4% 3 cycles ago. Commander Elena Vasquez watched the transmission from what remained of Luna Base's command center. Half the screens were dead, sparking occasionally with electrical fires. The air tasted of recycled desperation and burnt circuitry. Around her, the last 200 soldiers of humanity's defense force sat among the wreckage, bloodied but still breathing. "They think we're done," said Lieutenant Park, his arm in an improvised sling. Elena allowed herself a thin smile. "They don't understand us at all." The Vorlan Empire had studied humanity for 3 standard years before the invasion. They had analyzed human military capacity, technological advancement, and industrial output. Their calculations had been precise, their strategy flawless. They had predicted victory within 8 months. They had been correct. By every measurable metric. What their calculations had failed to account for was something that couldn't be quantified in spreadsheets or tactical simulations. They hadn't factored in the stubborn, irrational, absolutely unhinged refusal of humans to acknowledge when they were beaten. "Commence Operation Defiance," Elena ordered, across the solar system, in hidden bunkers and abandoned mining stations, in the wreckage of destroyed warships and the ruins of occupied cities. Humans who should have surrendered began to move. On Mars, Dr. James Chen had spent the last 6 weeks converting terraforming equipment into something the Vorlan engineers would never see coming. The occupying forces had deemed the research station non-threatening, leaving only a token garrison. They discovered their mistake when the atmospheric processors reversed polarity, turning their own ship's life support systems into elaborate death traps. In the asteroid belt, mining crews who had been dismissed as civilian non-combatants revealed the truth. Every cargo hauler had been retrofitted with military-grade railguns. Every ore processor had been converted into a missile factory. For months, while the Vorlan celebrated their victory, humans had been building an entire fleet from scrap metal in sheer spite. The Confederation's mistake had been assuming that humanity's formal military was the only thing they needed to worry about. They had conquered the soldiers and thought the war was won. They had forgotten about the engineers, the miners, the scientists, the teachers, the farmers, and every other human who had decided that being conquered was, frankly, not acceptable. Ambassador Kreeth's first indication that something had gone wrong came when his flagship's shields failed. The second indication was the human-made kinetic projectile that followed immediately after, moving at a significant fraction of light speed. The targeting solution had been calculated by a 16-year-old mathematics prodigy working from her family's basement bunker. The weapon had been built by a retired shipyard worker using parts from a destroyed freighter. The firing sequence had been coordinated by a network of amateur radio operators who had kept their equipment hidden in their attics. None of them were military. All of them were human. Across occupied Earth, the resistance emerged from hiding with weapons that violated several interstellar conventions. Humans, it turned out, were very creative when it came to finding new ways to be dangerous. The Vorlan troops found themselves facing everything from reprogrammed mining drones to weaponized agricultural equipment to chemical compounds that shouldn't have been possible to synthesize outside of a military lab, but which a determined chemistry teacher had managed to create in her garage. "This is impossible," Kreeth transmitted to his fleet. "They have no resources. No supply lines. No command structure." "That's where you're wrong," Elena replied, having hacked into his communication channel. "Every human is our supply line. Every basement is our factory. Every mind is our command structure. You conquered our military. Congratulations. Now you get to fight our entire species." The Confederation had waged war by the rules, with calculated strategies and acceptable losses. Humans had ignored the rules entirely. When conventional warfare failed, They invented unconventional warfare. When their ships were destroyed, they built new ones from debris. When their weapons ran out, they created weapons from anything they could find. The turning point came 3 weeks later, when a coordinated strike by the improvised human fleet destroyed the Vorlan command carrier. The attack had been launched simultaneously from 40 different locations, each using different weapon systems, all timed with precision that shouldn't have been possible without military-grade communication networks. Humans had coordinated the attack using encrypted messages hidden in online gaming networks, recipe websites, and cat videos. Ambassador Creeth, evacuating in an escape pod, sent one final transmission to the Confederation Council. I recommend we negotiate an immediate ceasefire. The humans cannot win this war by any logical assessment, but I do not believe they understand this, and I am no longer certain that matters. Elena stood in the ruins of Luna Base watching the Vorlan fleet begin its retreat. Around her, volunteers were already organizing relief efforts, rebuilding plans, and frighteningly creative proposals for new defensive systems. Lieutenant Park approached, his arm still in a sling. "They're withdrawing." "For now," Elena said. "They'll remember this. Every species in the Confederation will remember this. They came expecting to conquer soldiers. Instead, they got humanity." She looked at the makeshift weapons, the improvised technology, the exhausted but unbroken people around her. By every military doctrine, they should have lost. By every logical calculation, they had lost. But humans had never been particularly logical. And they had certainly never been particularly good at staying defeated. The Vorlan Empire had learned an important lesson that day, one that would be shared across the Confederation for generations to come. Defeating humanity's military is the easy part. It's the remaining 8 billion humans you need to worry about, because when humans decide the fight isn't over, it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. The fight simply isn't over.